Just a few fellas on a podcast, ripping in the pitching jokes and sharing some laughs. Rob Ryan, Pedro, Jerry Bernstein. Ooh, they want to know if it's something, if it's anything. Often featuring Lady Corbin.
I forgot that we had Abbi as a guest today, and I ended up booking a younger comic. This handsome fellow right here.
Oh, look at this guy. Wasn't he in Flight of the Navigator?
He was. He's a prop comic. He does stuff with that baseball bat. I guess.
So cute.
Check out those chunky thighs, too. Who is this fellow?
Kids with collar shirts. Can't beat them.
Mm-hmm. Joe List told a story once, I think maybe on his podcast, about meeting Gallagher, like doing an open mic or something like that, and Gallagher was there, and he was like, "Oh my God, it's Gallagher! This is crazy!" And then Gallagher came up to him, and he was like, "Hey man, great stuff. I think what you should do is you should bring a hoop and a little basketball on stage, and then every time one of your jokes hit, you should throw the basketball through the hoop."
Nice. I would enjoy that.
And Joe List was like, "What?"
Can you imagine going on tour and everyone's like, all right, cool. There's the green room. When do you need me to light? And you're just like, where can I hang up this hoop?
Yeah.
For throwing the ball.
No light.
Into?
I'll know by the 7th basket I make.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
when my set's over. It's all timed out by the props.
I love that. I love the idea that he goes to all these different comics and just has various different things for them to do. Like, you should have a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Do.
He's a diviner of props. Like, he's like, what prop is best for you? I know watermelon is my thing, but
I see you have a siren, a police siren.
That's how Michael Winslow got good. He met Gallagher.
There's like a ritualistic thing. You have to like take peyote and then you go off into the woods and you come back with a totem. Whatever that totem is, like that's your prop that you're going to use.
Ooh, I can't wait to find out my prop. Well, I always heard early in comedy, I heard that when other comedians give you advice, it's how to sound more like them, whether it's like intentional or just subconsciously. They're like, you know what you should do? Yell more. And it's like, oh, like you do?
Right.
So, yeah.
That was really on the nose from Gallagher. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, it fits him, doesn't it? That advice.
All right. Well, who wants to introduce our fabulous guest?
I guess I will.
It's me as a boy, as a young boy.
It's young Jarret with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
An upside down baseball bat, I think.
Who would have thought that this boy would grow up to not care about sports? Could you imagine? Wow. Never would have thought it.
He's like, Mom, when can I stop holding this stick? It's a bat, sweetie.
When can I stop holding this basketball?
We have Abbi Crutchfield on today. I've known her for many years. Very funny comedian, and we're really happy to have her as a guest today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on,
everybody.
Abbi.
Great to be here. Hi,
Yeah, she's great.
Well, we usually start off with a little catch-up. Is there anything that's on your mind, Abbi? No pressure. If there's nothing you want to catch up on, I know we certainly all probably have some opinions on some things that have happened in the last
We just
day
can't
or
stop
so.
thinking about Sunday night. I don't know why it's so hard to stop thinking about Sunday night. Because sometimes I think, oh, the media is just pushing it in my face. But I truly had a dream about it that night, that Luke was the one that did something embarrassing on a public scale. And I was like trying to console him. He's like, I don't know if I'll ever work again. And I thought, oh my gosh, we're so emotionally impacted by this event.
You know what I should have done?
How pathetic a person you are, Abbi, to have a dream about like your husband doing something embarrassing and you console him. You wake up in the middle of the night, oh God. I dreamed you did something horrible.
Yeah, poor celebrities. I only feel their pain. That's what I do.
I know, Luke, and that probably was not a dream.
Yeah, he probably did something that made him feel.
So he just probably whispered that to you as you were sleeping. Just like,
I have a confession to make.
Just to let you know. You can never say I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
What I should have done, I should have known that we were going to talk about this, and I should have picked like a really mundane thing that happened to the Oscars so that as we're all talking about it really vaguely, I can be like, yeah, can you believe that Amy Schumer said blah, blah, blah?
I know. I was going to write a tweet about like, hey, did you remember Liza Minnelli at the Oscars? No. Did you see, all the red dresses? No. What? Did you even watch it? Yeah. Did you? Because it's like the only thing people are talking about is not any of that.
So, yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun when we had our a Patreon episode where we talked about The Matrix. making fun of Jada Pinkett Smith in that movie. And I just want to say, I feel bad about that. And I take it all back. I think she did a great job.
You can't make fun of her in Gotham.
Yeah.
You can't make fun of her rock and roll band. There's all of our fun things that we like to send up. The lovely Jada Smith. Pinkett Smith. I think I think I share the opinion with a lot of comedians that it appeared he did not know that he was targeting someone's illness. However, people will still argue that even if you don't know, could you pick on anybody else? You know, you already went in hard in 2016. Apparently there were jokes about this Smiths again. Yeah. But they're such a power couple. It's like, who doesn't want to lob some jokes their way?
Mm-hmm. You know what was one thing that was weirding me out was how many times she was referred to as Will Smith's wife. I was like, you mean Jada Pinkett Smith? Like, you think I don't know who Jada Pinkett Smith is?
Chris also called Penelope Cruz Javier Bardem's wife, and I'm like, I've never heard her introduced that way. He was on the scene before I knew about Javier Bardem. I knew about Penelope Cruz. Like, I saw Vanilla Sky before I saw Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
I'm so glad that you got married to Javier Bardem, and now I know how to refer to you. Before that, we were always just like, Vanilla Sky, starring Tom Cruise and unmarried woman.
Yeah, well, I was listening just for fun to No Sex in the Champagne Room, which was, I think, a late 90s song. It's like a poem to music that Chris Rock released, and it's funny. Certainly for the day, it had some surprises in it, and now if you've memorized it, they're not surprising anymore. But I just thought, even just the concept, this is all about sex in a strip club, is very... We should not be surprised that he objectifies women today if he's like had this as it's just something we've accepted about a comedian.
I really enjoyed Corey Michaelis's take on this. He said, if you ever refer to me as a sexy, gorgeous, badass, bald action movie character in a joke, I swear to God, I'll get my girlfriend to smack the shit out of you too. And to me, that was, I mean, if Chris Rock for some reason knew about the alopecia, it is really just not a good joke at all. It's not a good. We can all agree that it's not a good joke. It's not a quality.
Corny as hell. A movie that nobody remembers from 30 years ago.
Who else would I have used if I didn't say G.I. Jane? I think I would have said Tiffany Haddish because she's the only other celebrity that has shaved her head recently. Then there was Britney Spears in between. So it was like G.I. Jane, Britney Spears, Tiffany Haddish, and then Jada as like. There's also Sinead O'Connor, but I think she was earlier than G.I. Jane. Right. So, yeah, it's like you have a handful of bald people to choose from. You don't want to say Mr. Clean because that's a guy, you know? So.
Yeah. Of all the people you listed, G.I. Jane is the most positive one. So if I'm looking at like what I expect intention from Chris Rock, it was like, let me make a silly joke. And to me, it wasn't a quality joke. Or let me pick a silly joke because I'm sure he had writers.
Two things I have to say about the G.I. Jane joke specifically. One is that, yes, Abby, 100% right, that for a long time, if someone was bald, the go-to joke was that they were Sinead O'Connor. Then, thank God, G.I. Jane came out, so then we could finally move on from the Sinead O'Connor jokes, and we moved on to G.I. Jane jokes. Now, no movie or cultural icon has come about since to replace G.I. Jane. But,
what about Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta? Huh?
There was like in Black Panther, there have been bald women, but there have not been bald women as a punchline or as striking. Like,
that would have been a great reference.
It would have been a positive. I've heard people refer to that as well. But the idea was that there has not been a joke. And the fact that the joke got played the F out in the 90s, it's like that joke was dead. And it was like really weird to resurrect it by saying G.I. Jane 2. That's my first point. Two, G.I. Jane 2, G.I. Jada. What are we? Are you kidding me?
Right there.
This is like, what?
Were you just up there riffing, man? Come on.
I love to imagine if he had done the V for Vendetta reference, like the silence that would have fallen over the crowd, where he's like, "Hey, Jada, nice to see you, V for Vendetta too." And people were just like, "I don't." Huh?
But that would have been so much more enjoyable where the audience goes, what?
That still smacks them.
Then you would have had like GIFs of people going, huh? And Will wouldn't have been so motivated because it would have bombed immediately instead of having to bomb.
Will would have walked on the stage and he would have put his hand up and he would go, "Can you explain that joke to me?"
What did that mean?
What did that mean?
What? This guy's about to scruff his neck. What?
Yeah, like wrestling when you do that move.
Gives me. My whole thing for this. First of all, it is at the very top of my we talked about this way too much list. Do you know what I mean? I know everybody's got an opinion about it. As far as I heard yesterday, my mom, who's like 70 plus, talking with one of her old friends on speakerphones. It's like two old women talking about this for like an hour. And I was like, they're going to get to the bottom of this. That's the only commentary that I want to hear about this. I want to hear that podcast.
It's united us all.
Yeah, exactly. So that's number one. Number two is what I can't get over. And I know people are like arguing about, who was in the wrong. Should the joke, are they both wrong? What are the consequences going to be? Like, none of that really matters to me. It's more like, it just feels like such a massive overreaction on Will Smith's part that I have a really hard time believing it. I know everybody is like, oh, it's 100% real, totally unplanned. Like, look at all the stuff that's going on here. It just seems so unreal to me. And the slap was so perfect, just like dead straight, like almost like it was, almost like a ballet move. Just like
in that case, Chris Rock's a really good actor because I've never seen him shaken in my life.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was fake. The whole thing seems so surreal to me because I was like, overreaction doesn't make any sense. Too perfect of a choreography.
Will Smith has this like perfect stride,
but perfect is what he does. He's done that. We've seen him do it in many films.
I have never seen a blow landed outside of a movie that perfectly. Anytime I've seen this fight on the street or like a fight on like some, World Star video, it's always like crazy sloppy and
Jarret, that's why I thought it was a stage slap, and I thought Chris did not sell that slap. He just kind of barely moved. Yeah. And I thought he would go, whoa. First of all, he did that little oh no, and it's very remind me of like the roast from the 70s.
Oh, it's very sticky.
Like Muhammad Ali would punch you and Don Rickles would run. But then when Chris just stood still, he took it so well. Like, I don't know what the force was, but it was like, oof, what? And then when Will shouted the second time from his seat, he's like, okay, I'm not. It's like, it's not even in the prompter. I don't have any more jokes about her.
Yeah. It was almost as if Chris Rock was going to let it slide. Like, if Will Smith said nothing, imagine how confused we would be in this moment right now. Because, like, he slaps him, Chris goes, I think Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. And then ha ha ha, and then maybe you cut to Will being like, and then the crowd's like, ha ha ha, they're not. Lupita Nyong'o's like, yeah, sure, and like that's it, and then we just move on with the night, and everyone would be like, what was that? So confused.
Yeah, we would just think it was a bit that didn't work. We'd be
exactly. It's exactly what it looked like. It looked like a bit that just like kind of didn't land.
The memes have been the great gift. Oh my goodness. There's this. You remember I Am Legend when he's shouting no to the mannequin that's been replaced? So anyway, he's like no because he thinks he's losing his mind. Someone replaced that little mannequin with Chris Rock, and he's just like shouting at it. Oh, they're such a gift. These memes.
I did not think that I would ever have Will Smith making me think that Kanye seemed actually kind of reasonable when he stormed the stage for Taylor Swift. I'm like, oh, that's actually that's yeah.
I've got a very specific question. You guys might not know the answer. Will Smith did this series where he was like trying out new things, like skydiving, and one of the things he did was stand up. He had a round table with stand-up comedians that were sort of like there to guide him through the process. I know Dave Chappelle was there. But was Chris Rock there? Because I think that he wasn't. Because based on some of the stuff that I read about this, they actually haven't liked each other for a long time.
Well, in 2016, we have footage of the Oscars, and he kind of pokes fun at Jada for being on a TV show, but boycotting the Oscars. And he's like, you're boycotting the Oscars? That's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties.
Yeah. Better joke than G.I. Jane.
You sold it, Abby. Your delivery. What? That was it, man.
I'm never going to get to work on Bel Air now because I resurrected that. But that set is still floating around. This is the annoying thing. It's kind of like you really don't want to participate in the pile-on, but then when it's like the whole world is joking about it, you're like, well, I too should share my take.
Right. You do get sucked in. Now, first of all, I wish Luke came in and slapped you in that moment. That would be great. Two,
he should come in my room and slap me.
That would be
making her tell that joke.
Oh, Luke there. Luke there, just slap the shit out of me, everybody.
That was the other thing, the hypotheticals of like, if Amy Schumer had told that joke, he wouldn't have done it. And it's just like, we don't have to imagine. People said like, I don't know. I read one tweet that was like, if Betty White was on that stage, if Bob Saget had told the joke, and it was like,
if Abraham Lincoln had been there.
and John Wilkes Booth.
Wait a second.
Yeah. It's not a bad comparison. My friend Erin Judge made a comparison to John Wilkes Booth. She's like, this is what happened to Abe Lincoln. It's like you just let a celebrity do anything.
John Wilkes Booth jumped on the
That's
stage
excellent.
and everyone was like, oh, here's that actor.
They're still arguing, was it real? Oh, maybe. He looks kind of dead, you think?
Third act, they shoot the president from the audience.
Bold.
Interesting. Very avant-garde.
Chris Rock, for me, had the best, my still favorite Oscars joke to this date is he was the host, and they had just done Best Documentary, which actually he was also just about to introduce. So they had just finished Best Documentary, and Morgan Spurlock had just won for Super Size Me, beating out Michael Moore doing Fahrenheit 9/11.
Oh, wow.
So he had just lost. Michael Moore just lost. Chris Rock comes out. He goes, man, I bet Michael Moore's thinking right now, damn, I should have made Super Size Me. I already done the research.
No.
And I was like,
Had to know that was coming.
So good.
Yeah. It's like,
They're like, yeah.
got all the elements right there.
It's like, everything's right there. Perfect.
I will say, regardless of what your opinion is, just as a comic, I like the composure that Chris Rock maintained through that is so impressive.
Well, I also thought it was very realistic. Like, what would we do on stage if a heckler lost their mind? We'd be like,
then the heckler was Will
This is my
Smith.
job.
Yeah.
I mean, what a funny thing. First to say Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. And then your take to be, this is the greatest night in showbiz in like Hollywood or whatever he said. I mean, so many people would lose their cool. I was so blown away with how professional he was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what comes with the territory of being a veteran. You know, you've done it a million times, and he's been in worse
nobody's
scenarios.
done that a million times.
But yeah,
You don't know how many barbecues he ruined at Will Smith's house.
But he still got
Thrown
two
out.
solid laughs, right? He got the, wow, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. Everybody laughs, completely deflates all the tension that was in the room. And then he still, after he yells the thing, and he even says, I think he mouths to himself, man, I could. I think that's what he said, right?
I didn't study it that closely. Wow, you got some
I don't know
analysis.
that.
It seemed as if Chris Rock was almost going to be like, you want me to go into Chris Rock mode right now? Because I could double down on this immediately. And I think he just kind of went, it's stupid. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, keep your name in the mouth. And he's like, I will. And then he gets a little flustered. But then he does say that second line, which again gets a big laugh. It's like, man, this was the greatest night in TV history.
It truly is going to always be in the Oscar top 10 moments, probably, until something else crazier happens. Because it was just so unexpected in the moment.
Right. I wonder if the Oscars will just turn into the XFL now because it just needs to.
Celebrity deathmatch.
So here's something I was thinking. So number one of my favorite takes of this on Twitter was Vincent D'Onofrio, who played Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil series. Mm-hmm. He just posted something like kind of vague, like, wow, how far we've fallen. Not cool. All right. And then somebody posted a picture of the woman that his character was in love with in the TV series and was like, what if Chris Rock said this about her?
What would your character have done?
Would you have face stomped him into a pulp against your Suburban?
Chopped his head off with a car door?
Was that what you would have done? Yeah.
So my mom was watching the Oscars, and I'm here visiting my mom, and I was like, I'm here to spend time with my mom. I don't usually watch award shows, but you know what? My mom's watching the Oscars. I want to spend time with her. I'll watch the Oscars. I only made it through like 20 minutes before I was like, this is the most intolerable thing I've ever seen. I can't watch this anymore. And I used to love the Oscars when I was growing up. And I'm trying to think of like what changed. And I think that like Oscars ratings have tanked for a long time. And I think the reason is that award shows used to be like one of the few times that we got to see celebrities just like being themselves. But now we have social media and 1,000 talk shows. It's like we know celebrities now. We don't need to see them doing this anymore.
Yeah, and you got to see them be glamorous, which is like the best way to see them outside of the movies. Mm-hmm. We did a lot of TMZ, like I'm holding my Starbucks and I'm in my sweatpants shots. For years there were covers of Star magazine like that, and so the Oscars would be like the antidote to all of having to see them with their, no makeup on. But like you're saying, for me, what bothers me is when everybody's doing their Oscar prep on Instagram and you can see all the behind the scenes, because it's really not that glamorous. Studios are much smaller. even having that footage of like what happened after the slap, and you hear someone being like, "Countdown, guys, everybody to your seats, 10, 9, 8." I was like, "Ew, I don't want to hear that during the Oscars."
That's really funny.
Can we get a
Orchestra.
2-hour pre-show with the seat fillers at the Oscars?
No, can we get the guy sweeping up the popcorn under the seats afterwards? That would be great.
You're a man in a tuxedo, and you are supposed to sit where George Clooney is in case he has to go to the bathroom. What do you do to prepare for tonight? Well, my wife sat in a chair and she went to the bathroom a couple times, and then I just sat down in her chair just to practice, you know.
We have a map at home. I like to look at Lake Como and pretend I live there.
I don't know if you guys saw Amy Schumer did one of my jokes during the Oscars.
That's what I fucking said.
Congratulations. Oh wait, is that a good thing? Like you wrote for her, or you did not?
I didn't write for the show, but I wrote a joke. I did it on this show, on Is This Anything?
Yes.
Months ago.
Yeah.
And then as the lead up was happening, I was like, is she about to do a fucking joke? And then I finished it before she did it. My mom was like,
how did
That
you
was
know
so
she would say
weird.
that? Yeah,
It was
that's
so
neat.
word for word, though, wasn't it? It was fucking exact.
Can I hear it?
Which
What's
joke?
the joke?
the joke was, Leonardo DiCaprio is very concerned about climate change. And, it makes sense. Like, what kind of world are we leaving for our girlfriends?
Yeah, perfect. The only restitution is if you find like $100 on the ground, because then you would be getting paid for that joke indirectly. That
I
was
love the
used on
idea of
telecast.
like it's the Schumer fairy. Like your joke gets stolen, but then there's like $100 under your pillow. You're like, oh. The Schumer
Or it's
fairy
Amy
came in.
Schumer, so she comes up and she gives you a shot of tequila.
Or she just takes a selfie with you and you get 100 followers. I would take that one.
That's pretty cool.
Dude, I had brain fog. A friend of mine actually told me about it. Like, oh, Amy Schumer had a funny joke, says the joke. And I went, what? I was like, I know that joke. And I'm like, yeah, Amy Schumer said it last night. I said, no, I didn't watch the Oscars. I was like, I know that joke. And I was freaking out for like 10 minutes. I was like, no, I've heard this. You don't understand. I know this joke word for word. I know this
Yeah,
joke.
I've already heard it.
I was like, I think it was from, and I could eventually put it together. I was like, wait a minute, Jarret told this joke on Is This Anything? I'm certain of it.
I was really hoping that your list of where you thought the joke came from was just like the highest echelon. I think Dave Chappelle did that. Was that?
I was hoping. I was hoping he wasn't going to be like, oh, yeah. I heard it somewhere and I kept telling it to people at shows leading up to.
I told it to Mark Normand. I told it to
Jennifer Lawrence was on the street eating a papaya dog, and I told it to her.
Excellent.
Oh, perfect. And they were all telling me like how great the joke was. And I was like, thanks, I just thought of it,
You can use it.
You can use it if you want. I don't care.
It's not even mine.
Anybody can use it. Anybody, someone you know. I don't care.
Well,
Ketchup, anybody
congratulations, Jarret, on writing a joke that was the Oscars caliber. It's a frustrating. It's a frustrating thing when you hear your joke told by somebody else. One, I think paranoia sets in, and you're like, "How could they have ever heard my joke and then taken it from me without asking? Would they? Like I think our minds do that. Maybe because we've heard stories of it. I have yet to see like a chunk of my material stolen. But I've seen parallel thought happen in rooms in New York City. So it's like, we could have all been living that. It's just it's frustrating when that happens.
I used to have a massive ego about this because I was so worried. I was like, every single one of my jokes is the potential to rocket ship me to stardom. That was what my young comedian brain thought.
Right. Of course.
And I got a joke in, do you remember Time Out used to do Joke of the Week? I got a joke in there, and it was like, my favorite holiday is Ash Wednesday because it's the one day you're going to know exactly who not to talk to about abortion. And so that was the joke. It was in Time Out New York. But, I'm just running around doing open mics all the time. Like, I'm nobody. So this joke is just like sitting in this magazine. I see a comic do that joke at an open mic, only slightly different, and I like lose my mind. I start sweating really hard, and I grab another comic and I drag him outside, and I'm like, "What do we do?" And he's like, "What do you mean? What do you do?" And it's like, "I have that joke. That's my joke. It's in Time Out, so I can prove that it's my joke."
Yeah. You're like,
it's an open mic. Who gives a shit? Like, you just have to realize that your career is 1,000 jokes, and so if only 999 of them are original, that's fine.
Yeah. And if I think I'm going to tweet something that sounds familiar or that is it's like, this is so non-personal to me, but such a silly observation, I would search for it and see how many people did it. And if they all have 20 followers, I tweet it anyway.
Yeah. That is the rule. What was so funny is like how quickly the cycle ate this stuff up. So like there was jokes, there was more jokes. Then there was jokes about people making jokes. And then it's like, I'm tired of hearing these jokes. I'm like, all within 12 hours. I was like, guys, it's okay. Like, geez, these comics with these hack jokes. I'm like, it just happened.
I know.
I don't think it could be hack. Like hackneyed means it's tired and done. This literally is still very new. So like, just let the thing run its course. It's fine.
Rob, let me show you a chart real quick. All right, fresh, over it. It's done. Old news now.
I saw someone complaining today. Is like, okay, it's Tuesday, guys. You better not be talking about the slap. But I'm like, you wish.
Yeah.
This just happened.
My only thing was like, I said I want jokes only, no think pieces. But obviously, it's good.
I know. That's the problem. They come. It's like the old Uber dissection of it, and then it's like people then put their personal feelings into it. So it's just kind of like, does a comedian deserve to ever talk about anyone's head? It's like, is that where we are?
This is my impression of Jada Pinkett Smith if she were playing her character in the new Matrix movie, receiving the joke.
Excellent.
What did he say?
I'm so
I don't
old.
understand.
Let's switch to talking about the new Matrix movie.
Yes, thank you.
Not a very nice joke that he told about me. There was one take that I saw that I really enjoyed, which was this is on Twitter. I forget who said it. It was like Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at the Oscars. Here's why it's bad for Biden by Maggie Haberman, New York Times.
Yeah.
Biden.
I like that, and I liked how is this going to affect gas prices? Like, hello, there is still a war going on.
Anything else, or should we get to the bits, y'all?
I think we should get to the bits.
Well, you know what this means, guys. We get to turn back on the jar machine. Turn back on the jar machine because we got an A name. So we're turning back on the jar machine. Our order today is Jarret, Brett, Abbi, Rob. Jarret, Brett, Abbi, Rob.
Great.
Jarret, Brett,
Jabbar.
Abbi, Jabbar, the bad guy in Aladdin.
No, that's not it.
No, he's a great basketball player.
Oh yeah, Kareem Abdul, of course. Mr. Jabbar. Mr. Jabbar was my father. I was visiting some family in Washington State, and I discovered that there's a place in Washington called Cape Disappointment. And I couldn't help but thinking that it was just like named by the worst explorer. Like he travels through the wilderness for months until he gets to the Pacific Ocean, and he's just like, "That's it? Why? What the fuck did I even bother for? This is bullshit. I got dysentery for this? Jesus, what an unbelievable waste of time. I am a complete and total failure. I should have been a lawyer like my dad."
Love it. It
Or
works.
there's like, oh wait, almost done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or there's
Jarret
like
likes
one
to
like really bitchy explorer in the group. Everyone else is having a great time. He's being passive aggressive the entire trip. They finally get to the West Coast. They see this beautiful cape and they're like, "What should we call it?" And he's like, "I got an idea."
You know what? I was gonna suggest that be the character anyway. So that's so funny that you have that as a tag of like, imagine, because I identify with the complainer, but the sarcastic jerk that's ruining everybody's time is a funnier concept to me. More like cake disappointment. Am I right?
The interesting thing is, do you know the real history behind it? I do not, but
Oh, I thought you did. It was
No,
a very
I don't.
classic Rob
So
Ryan
many
to
children
know.
died off that cliff.
it's very disappointing.
To say the least.
To say the
Oh, that's disappointing.
That's a really funny
Why?
joke, but it was named after Jonathan Disappointment, who saved a lot of kids' lives, and really insensitive.
It's half of that. Half of that is me being like that, because the Badlands of South Dakota are so named because of the settlers who were going west, and then they came across this area where it was just like barren, totally desert. Pretty rocky, hard to get over to, so they really had tough with their wagons, and they're just like, "Oh man, this is bad lands, man," and that's it. And they're like, "It's bad." So I am
These
not.
lands, they're bad.
Yeah. So I am. There is no part of me that thinks that it's not feasible. That this explorer was like, "This place sucks," and then it's just the name stuck.
Maybe.
Go ahead. Yeah, Brett.
I would say maybe Christopher Columbus named it after he found out it wasn't India. That he had
Yeah. I was gonna say, Brett. Exactly. Like economize it to. Few people know this, but it was actually named by my mother-in-law.
It's funny to think of Columbus doing it because, I mean, he would have had to have landed. I think he landed in the Caribbean. So we would then have had to have gotten back on the boat, gotten to mainland America, gone through mainland America, and be like, this is India. It's India. I'll prove it to you. I will go all the way to the other side, and over there will be Europe. And then he got there, and he was like, well, shit.
Oh, this is not what I was hoping for. Another angle, since it's very modern to actually think about it from the perspective of the people whose land was inhabited, who were already there. You could just be like the settlers or the colonizers, the people who were taking over, were like, "And what do you call this place? Looks plentiful. Oh, it's Cape Disappointment."
Oh no, it's there. You don't want to go.
You don't
there.
want nothing to do with this cape.
Nothing grows here. Nothing grows here. People die. People die. Is what happens.
It's so funny to think of that as being the reason, because it's the end of America. It's like they didn't think of this plan until the very end. They're just like, they're going to take literally everything. Can we just at least save the Cape?
They did think of this plan, Jarret. They called it the Badlands. I don't understand. I just said they tried to stop them in South Dakota. They didn't listen.
Here's a bit of trivia that I did not know that I think is really interesting. If you are traveling through New Jersey, there is a bridge you got to take to get over like this river or something. Or you can take another bridge that's sort of like on the outside of that bridge called the Outer Bridge. Do you know why they call it the Outer Bridge?
Mm-mm.
It was named after a person named Outer Bridge.
Strange.
It's literally an outer bridge, but his name is named after a guy named Outer Bridge also.
And he was so frustrated that nobody ever gave him credit.
That's
They
right.
were like, it's probably they called it that because it's also the Outer Bridge.
Because it's the Outer Bridge, right?
Or maybe it's
That's
like how
insane.
Smith is a name that used to denote your family profession. So maybe also his last name was because he always built outer bridges.
Right, yeah. His family was known for the outer bridge.
family
building
always
that they did. Died being wrong. It's named
We
after
just built
me,
the bridge.
but you were named after it.
We just built a bridge, but we really need another bridge that's like next to it, like a little further out. Is there anything? I make
love that
bridges. I don't make
coincidence.
outer bridges. You gotta get an outer bridger for this.
I love the the bridge family refuses. You better get an outer bridge for this one.
Okay, so back to this bit. I think that there's something wrong with the way that this bit is structured, or maybe the payoff. Maybe I'm like delivering the punchline incorrectly, because I've tried it a couple times and it's always kind of like deflated. And so, any thoughts on that whatsoever?
I would like to hear the act out again. Does it build, or is it just like same?
I just kind of did like some general improvised upsettedness, you know?
Yeah,
It's like,
so
why
maybe,
did I even
truncate it.
fucking bother? You know, this is bullshit. I got dysentery for this.
I
What an
like the
unbelievable waste
dysentery
of time.
line. I would just leave it to I got dysentery for this.
Ooh,
Because
that's
it
funny.
conveys the attitude, and it's the punchiest part of that act out.
And what is this? Is he disappointed in what? The land, his station in life,
The view, I think.
What was his thing?
I
What
guess
was the
he
problem?
would be disappointed in the cape that he found.
That's all.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, this
But-
cape sucks. I can't believe I got dysentery just so I could see this cape.
Got it. Yeah, I missed maybe that early part, or I wasn't tracking for me. So he does specifically call out the way the cape looks.
Not in
But he also
my
made
version.
reference to the ride too, right? He was just finding.
Yeah.
He was a complainer. That was the whole vibe of this guy, right?
Mm-hmm,
The guy who discovered this was probably one of those people that was hard to please. I think was your lead-in. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I said like worst explorer, you know?
Worst explorer. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
specific. Be more specific about worst explorer.
Yeah. That's a
Most
good-
irritating travel companion. I don't know.
Well, see, yeah, this is where it confused me, because I thought maybe I misheard it, but I guess I heard it right. Because you're making the guy seem like he is just a bummer all the time, which is fine. It's a funny joke. But then why is the cape a disappointment? Like, it makes more sense that he's looking forward to this cape. He can't wait to see this cape. And then the cape doesn't wind up being what he hoped. It's a disappointment. But now you're making him a bummer, which is okay. But then he should have a string of poorly named things. There should be like the River of No Hope. And it should be, you know, Mount Doom. And
The
all
cliffs
the-
of Yawn.
The river of I saw this already. The cliffs of Can We Go Home Yet?
Oh, wow, another river.
Lake, a bunch of water.
He's hard to please, this guy.
Yeah, so you were painting a different character that makes me think that this guy can never, be whatever. And thank God they renamed the Grand Canyon, because before,
Yeah.
when he came along, he was like fucking shitty hole in the ground or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Thing I almost tripped on.
Wagon dump, I call it.
You mean the place we threw our shit after we were done? All right. Thank you for those notes, everybody.
One last idea, which is just that because it's where you're saying it's where America ends, right?
Yeah, it's the very top. It's the very northwest corner of America.
So
Cape
maybe the
Disappointment.
disappointment is that you're no longer in America. Maybe he's just like a real patriot.
Ooh, very
That's
patriotic.
funny.
I like it.
Yeah, but also very pessimistic because it could be the first thing you see when you come to America from the other side, you know?
The Cape was first found by a Spanish explorer in 1775, Bruno Heceta, who named it Bahia de la Asunción. But a British trader, John Mears, named it Cape Disappointment in 1788 due to his mistaken belief that the mouth of the Columbia River is actually only a bay and not the ocean. So he was disappointed by that.
Oh my God. I was literally I just stopped paying attention because I was looking up the definition of what a cape is. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if he was just expecting a different landmass? And I can't believe that it was actually correct. I wish I had said it.
Oh, man. I thought it was going to be a peninsula.
Yeah.
I would love a landmass name, like a new rename that rhymes with a current name, like something that rhymes with Kilimanjaro, but means, like, kill me, Manjaro. You know what I mean? Sucks.
Kilimanjaro.
A play on the actual word.
Brett understood the assignment.
I got it.
Killing my vibo.
Nailed it.
Jaro, we're like killing the vibo.
Everest, more like ever least.
No.
That one was bad on purpose, everybody.
What about Neverest?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Rob. Anyway. All right. Well, thanks so much for the notes, everybody. Next up, we got Brett Drupp.
Yeah.
All right.
Brett Drupp.
I am bringing a joke back to you that because of some cultural changes, the ether has changed a bit. I have to now update, and I think I like this version a little bit better. If you follow J.K. Rowling on Twitter, it is a wild ride. She's done some...
I have her blocked.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh,
understandable. She is, she's a TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. She's said some crazy things, but some of the other weird things she's done is she's like retroactively changed the Harry Potter universe. Like she made Dumbledore gay in a tweet. She changed that. Then she also made one of the characters support Brexit. That's real.
Oh dear.
And it kind of makes you glad that some of your favorite authors aren't alive around, anymore. Because you don't want to read those tweets. You open up like Twitter and like, oh, looks like Roald Dahl just tweeted that all the Oompa Loompas were into QAnon. So guess that's how it is. Oompa Loompa Doompa Dee Dud. Climate scientists want to drink your blood.
Nice.
Have you tried this one yet?
I tried it, but I tried a dirty version of it, which was I said swingers, which was the punchline of the old one, and then I did a loomp
What's
about
the song?
Loompa, loompa, doompa dee duck.
Dingers.
Please fuck my wife and make me a cuck.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to rhyme something else.
Yeah, what a great misdirection.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke like, we know how this ends, but then it turns out it was
We
ending. So my one concern, and I'm not saying it's not going to work, my one concern is I feel like Oompa Loompa and QAnon are like, I don't know, there's like two, that's like a mouthful, like might be a little mushy.
Yeah, what about flat earthers? Was that if like you find out the Oompa Loompas are all flat earthers?
I kind of like that, actually.
That's really funny too.
Yeah, I think that works a little better for me.
The benefit of the Oompa Loompa song is that in order to make a rhyme, I can literally just make up a word. So I just have to find a sentence in the right syllables that a flat earther would say.
I would like to do an impression of a person hearing Brett say that and then realizing that that's how the Oompa Loompa songs worked.
Doompa dee, fake word. I can make an easier rhyme. My thought was Roald Dahl was problematic for something. What was it? Is he anti-Semitic? So it's kind of like people already think of him as a problem. But then again, you don't want to get away from the Oompa Loompas because you got that cool song act out that's just fun. It rhymes and it's like a fun
So
surprise.
let's just pretend that anti-Semitism doesn't exist.
Well,
that makes
also,
it
I don't
easier for
think
the
about. I don't
Ooh,
think
just
about
like the mainstream media. That's fun.
just like the horizon line curving. I was gonna say, the other authors, just for fun, like don't abandon Roald Dahl and the Oompa
No,
Loompas,
no.
but-
I'm open to
yeah, because I don't associate Roald Dahl with the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as a book. I think about Gene Wilder and the movie. So
which is actually fine for me because I was like Roald Dahl is going to be once I get to Oompa Loompa, that's a universal recognition. You know?
Of course. Yeah. They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Roald Dahl. You're right. And people are like little kids when they hear comedy. Like if kids see other people laughing at a comedy show, they laugh too. And I think other people, if they don't know who Roald Dahl is, once they hear like Oompa Loompa, you're right. They all join in. But I was going to say, you could save the Oompa Loompa act out for a different kind of bit about film. You don't have to, but... And then focus on a different author like, I don't know, To Kill a Mockingbird. Imagine if Harper Lee didn't have her beautiful message about racism.
Right.
Or there's Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll.
I kind of think you're going to get the most mileage out of this by the author that is the most recognizable.
Well, who I thought you were going to say was J.D. Salinger because he is dead. Ooh. And but I don't remember Catcher in the Rye being some beautiful thing that's beloved. I just know it's a book every kid's made to read and serial killers happen to have. So
That is such a great. I
love
that
the
quote.
throwaway
I want
there.
that quote on the back of the book.
Love that
Over 1
throwaway,
million
like
copies found with serial killers.
like you don't have like a cork board with string like connecting all the different... That's the reason why your background is blurred, is because we don't want to see your Catcher in the Rye conspiracy board behind
It's
you.
so funny.
You know?
I loved that book, and like as time went on, I had to just like put it deep in my drawer, be like, I guess no one should know now. I think it's a great book. I'm like, oh, it's associated with all these weirdos. God damn it.
Well, you know what else you could do,
Hilarious.
Rob, is
It's like
not
Rick and
kill
Morty.
people.
Yeah, Rob.
And then
not
never will people make that connection with you.
But then what am I supposed to put in my drawers?
Yeah, he's got plans, Brett. He has plans.
Be the change you want to see in the world. Love the Catcher in the Rye and don't murder people. You know?
The same thing happened with Rick and Morty. I'm like, that show's great, and then I'm like, maybe I'm not a fan. Who knows? I'm not with you people.
Pickle Rick! I'm not one of you. I'm not this.
Well, I want to see. So my thoughts is that if you're reducing it down to that, which is great, then I think my point stands that like we can come up with 12 examples that I think you can rattle off relatively quickly. Be like, and then you can say less and less with each successive time. Now you don't even have to mention the author. You can just mention any book that's from the past that we're presumed that the author is dead, and then just be like, I don't want to know that Huckleberry Finn was kink shaming. I don't want to know that blah 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 was doing this.
Moby Dick, like to start using the main characters.
The white whale was a white male.
Excellent.
I don't need to, that
All
the
whales
was a white
matter.
supremacist. Then you could just go, well, I forget what the exact thing is, but anything that would upset you, it could either be in line with your politics, or it could just be goofy and silly. Like any retconning of any character to believe any specific thing kind of works.
That people are
works for
tired
me.
of hearing about, or that is just like,
On either side of any quote unquote debate, like actually for me, the sillier it gets, the further it goes. Makes it really
absolutely.
funny. Yeah.
yeah.
Romeo-
You're tired of hearing people say. Go ahead, Jarret.
Romeo and Juliet don't think Jake Gyllenhaal did anything wrong. Taylor Swift.
Yes. Right. There we go.
I love that. That's exactly what I love about the joke, and that I love expanding it out to that. That's great.
Yeah, sweet. We finally got there.
Abby gets the point of the show.
Dissect it, make the comedian angry, and throw it all out
And then make an omelet.
until they come up with what they love.
This is this might be kind of funny to then go into like a really obscure character, and then when nobody laughs, you just be like, fucking plebes. Don't you read? Don't you get a fucking library card? What if Ellen Olenska did that, right? And everyone's like, who the fuck are you talking about?
Guess someone needs to brush up on their Nabokov, huh?
She wrote The Bridges of Madison County. All right. I know we could sit here making Brett mad forever, but anything else?
I wasn't mad. I just
For this
wanted you
bit?
guys to stop fixing things that weren't problems in the joke.
But do you like the name?
The joke?
But that's the most annoying part about a punch-up session is when people zero in on the part that
On the
you
wrong
love.
What if you did something from the second Charlie and the Chocolate Factory instead of the first one where he goes into outer space? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh my
when I think of
gosh.
Charlie, I think of Timothée Chalamet. So
You really should have a whole Chalamet act out.
do you really need the name Brett? I don't know.
Have you thought about doing autobiographies instead of fiction? I think that might work.
You should have a basketball and a hoop.
Yeah. This is truly why I can't write. Like, my husband and I can't punch up each other's jokes, or we have to be very specific about what's being asked, because I'll just be like, the whole way you stand on stage, and he's like, I'm asking about the joke. I think it's like my chance to just
I
unload.
love Abby just biting her tongue throughout so much of her marriage. Hey, I had to make sure the joke. You never do the dishes. That's for one thing.
Right.
Why don't you start with that?
Why don't you tell? Yeah. That's how my mom tells me to tell jokes. She's like, you know what you should joke about, and then it's just everything in my life that I'm not aware of.
Yeah,
and
some
I'm like, oh,
grandkids.
okay.
That's what you should joke about. Get me some grandkids. All right. Next up, we got Abbi Crutchfield. But before we get to
All
that,
right.
just want to remind everybody to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ITApod. The best Patreon on the block. Awesome, dope content, extra content, exclusive content, extra tiers that you can get at higher levels. Join for as little as $1 a month. Patreon.com/ITApod. And next up, we got Abbi Crutchfield.
But before Abby, we
Yes,
got to do one more thing.
Why is no one talking about Will Smith?
There was one podcast I did where I just never know when he's going into the ad, so I start talking over the ad when he's like, "Hey, you ever get tired of? Your back ever hurt while you're sitting?" I'm like, "Oh yes," and he's like, "Buy these lumbar pillows," and I'm like, "I've never heard of those." And he's like,
He makes you launch into like a 20-minute story, and then at the end of your story, he's like, and that's why you should use stamps.com.
Right.
Abbi Crutchfield.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and it would be great if you have any bits about lower back pain. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
I actually have one, since we're talking about celebrities. It's about Leo DiCaprio. It's good to see him here tonight, is how it begins. I just find somebody in the room that looks like Leo. And
It's
then I say,
happening
he was in a
again.
movie called Don't Look Up. All right. Jarret, got it. This is in a lump about fitness, but I also could put it in a lump. Lump? What do we call it in
I was
Scotland?
like, I've never heard. I was like,
A
are
chunk?
you just going to diagnose this? 'Cause I've never heard any comic called a lump before.
I went to my doctor. He's like, "Uh-oh, you have a great bit there."
Yeah, so this joke, why the preamble? It's not necessary.
I'm a little concerned about this lump. Yeah, I don't think the middle section works either.
Should get that checked out.
We're
by
gonna
some comedians.
economize. We're gonna economize.
I'm gonna write you a prescription for Is This Anything podcast.
So yeah,
Chunk
I
for
think the
chunk.
reason I'm rambling before I even just say the line is because it's really hard for me to tell jokes outside of the setting of stand-up. I just and then I ruin them by talking in the middle of them and over them. So let me just say it verbatim.
Yes.
Fitness bloggers will always give advice like, just fill your cabinets with healthy, delicious food. Like, my cabinets? You mean my spice museums? That's where I keep my ancient herbs. You open my cabinet right now, you will find a bottle of Mrs. Dash from Bob Barker's Price is Right. I don't update that stuff. Imagine having a bottle of Worcestershire sauce that doesn't have a label falling off. Like I think how do I say it? That isn't 8 years old. All of my steak sauces have labels that are hanging off like, let me die. The question I would like for it, I mean, you get the act out, but it's, does it need more? I just want to be able to flesh out a bit so that it has more examples. So let me just tell you all the way to the end. Just the last line
please. I love
is,
it.
because it's all in the theme of like, I don't touch this stuff. I have a jar of capers. I buy it specifically so I can open the fridge, move it out of the way, and reach for the pickles. I want to feel like I'm doing stuff. Nobody knows what capers are. Mouse balls. That part is possibly obscure because most people do know what capers are, but me, I found out when I finally Googled it. I thought they were mini olives, and it turns out they're like, or no, the other way around. I thought they were like mini cabbages or something, like a vegetable. I still don't know what they are, honestly. I don't know if they're a fruit or a nut.
They're
Something
caper.
the dentist puts on your teeth.
Yeah.
They're capers of disappointment.
Nice.
What
I
they
love
are.
how much you wanted to tell that one.
Well, again, Brett said, I was like, God damn it, I gotta say. So I here's my first thought on this entirely is that I love everything about your wording and act outs. Spice Museum's so funny. The Worcestershire sauce with the label falling off is excellent. The steak sauce, and then, but that's all cabinet stuff.
Yeah.
But the intro to the joke is about something entirely different, and my brain is just in a completely different place. I can't wait to hear about your nutrition and your diet and your whatever.
Right.
And then you go into this completely other thing. So unless
right.
there is some chunk that I'm unaware of, which obviously there is.
Well, I think it just is off the end of how I don't exercise, and here's yoga, and here's a bit about yoga, here's a bit about jogging, and then so I say fitness bloggers to bridge it. But I don't even. It's really the truth in the story is, when people advise you how to like do meal prep, it's always on Instagram. I'm seeing these tips, and I'm like, I don't. That's a whole area of my kitchen I don't disturb. You know, like
That's
in order
really
to do
funny.
that, I would have to actually go through and find out how old my spices are just to put in whatever.
Well, you know what? Then there's something funny to this about me, where to me about this, where you're too late in the game. You're watching the wrong Instagram reels. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing the reels where you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I need to see the reel where I am at the store buying spices.
Yeah. You should have given me this information a long time ago. Not.
Yeah, like this is way too far in the process. I'm like, teach me how to like clean out my cabinet first.
Yeah, I need
type
the
of thing.
hoarder blogger before I need the fitness blogger.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm in the
working your way
shopping
up.
lady, and I need to be or I'm in the food prep lady, and I need to be following the how to
Get my fucking life together, lady, first, or whatever.
how to organize my spice collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do I need to take it to a museum and I act like a docent and then I just comment on the different spices? Because I've got like Mrs. Dash in there.
super
I don't know
funny.
if I should talk about a stale cinnamon or whatever. Like this dates back to.
I think it's very
period.
relatable, and I really, really enjoy that. If you can flesh that out as much as possible, I will enjoy that. I also was caught up in that beginning thing where I was like, oh, this is going to be about how
Nutrition,
she has the
but it's-
opposite of healthy things. But then it was
Gotcha.
just, it was just so I was caught up in that. But once you got into it, I really did enjoy it, and I like the Spice Museum. If you're going to say what was it, Spice Museum?
Yeah.
An old. I want you to flesh that out. I want like what is a museum
I love
of spices, you know?
Right. So describe a few in particular and why they're old, and then does it matter how I describe them, or I just am like hitting on the fact that because like you've got the steak sauce that's ancient, or
It's from the Paleolithic era. You can see there's
Yeah.
brontosaurus tooth in it.
yeah, or is it just about the fact that like I'm just naming things that are people often don't throw out, like bay leaves that get yellow or whatever.
That's funny. Yeah, like it looks like an apothecary in there. There's just like
Right, these
you're looking at it. You're like, what is this? It's like this is Eye of Newt. I think. I think this is the hair of a healthy boy.
Yeah, you take this if you want to fake your death, so you don't have to marry the person that your family has set you up with.
I also like the idea of either the Worcestershire sauce or the steak sauce just being completely glued to the bottom of whatever shelf it's sitting on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That. Well, I keep
Yeah.
mine in the fridge, and so every time I pull it out, the label like falls off, and I'm like, "You be quiet." You get smeared right back on, and then I pour it, and then I put it back, and it's like, just throw me out.
I like so talk. I had the exact same thought as these guys about like the justification for this joke.
Okay.
I like the justification of if you just bought your home or if you just moved into a new apartment, here's what you have to do. You buy a whole bunch of spices, you put them in your cabinets, and then that is where they stay for the next 1,000 years. And then you get to it becomes a spice museum, and then you start to go through all those different things,
Yeah, I mean,
Totally do it.
typically I've heard comedians joke about how when they go back to their parents' home, it's got this old expired stuff. And so for me, I don't know if it's like relatable that I just don't that's just not an area of interest for me, is to update what's in there. I barely use it. Someone gave me turmeric, or I have it, but I haven't, I don't put it in my lattes. I just let it change color, and then
That's kind of funny also, like the idea that nobody knows where this stuff comes from. I've never bought distilled white wine vinegar, but it's there.
Right.
There. I don't know how it got there.
Yeah, I love keep on further exploring how little you know about it.
Okay.
Where you're just like, I've heard of cayenne. I know it's a thing or whatever. Like,
Right.
because I guess I just need to know, because first of all, I don't even take you as someone who doesn't have like an ability to whip something together. So maybe I might have to be taught that as an audience member personally, just be like, she looks like she could, she probably eats well, she probably, exercises and probably prepares her own meals. So it would be news to me as an audience member, I think. I don't know if you ever had issues
Well,
like
yeah,
this.
that's the thing. There's often a disconnect about what I present versus like my own insecurities or things I feel like are deficient in me. And so then I kind of broadcast them as like, this is the real me. And people are like, if you say so.
I
But
think that's a very funny way to get into it. Is that looking
what
at
you
me,
just said was fucking great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at it, you think this person knows what a caper is, but in fact,
I look like someone who knows what a caper is, don't I?
yeah,
I mean, it is kind of, there's that, like I said, there's this whole, I have to really help the audience understand who I am, or get out of my head about what it is I am not, and stop trying to convince other people I am. Or I'm just trying to get to the heart of the relatability of the matter, because it's not like, this is who I am, but it's also
Right.
like, don't we all have stuff that we've been ignoring in our cabinets, and now
Yeah,
it's just like,
absolutely.
instead of throwing it out, maybe it's that I don't like to throw things out, and so now I've got a spice museum,
And if you want to avoid all that, like, I'm super cool with that too. I like any avenue that you want to choose. I suppose that if you were to choose the avenue of like, I'm just going to delve right in and tell you what I'm like without any preamble, I would definitely highly suggest that we at least start by priming my brain to talk about food preparation specifically, and like how to cook. Because if it's health, I think I'm like, what? Like, it was about health.
just a
and now I'm-
simple, I want to cook better.
Yeah. And so I watched this thing, like, well, first go into your cabinets. You're like, you mean the, the relic of a, you mean the hollow husk of what once used to be?
When you open the door, it sounds like the beginning of Tales from the Crypt. Just
The nutrition line, Rob, about fitness bloggers and stuff, and you guys saying, okay, let's set me up for your nutrition. I do end up having jokes about how I don't eat well and how I'm trying to get my daughter to eat better than I ever did. So I guess there's room there for, she's 4.
cool.
So setting it up of like, do as I say, not as I do. But
That's a very interesting thing to start doing. I mean, that's a whole other. I've always been fascinated with like when, as a parent, you are trying to be like, oh my god, like, do I just tell my kid to live this way? Should I actually start doing that for a period of time?
right.
It's very fascinating. So
That's the first way I ever had vegetables, was eating them off of her plate when she was done.
that is hilarious. You're supposed to eat your vegetables.
it'd be funny if you had like a piece of celery and you're like, you have to eat this, which you do by. It can't go in that
Miniature
way.
cold
That's-
wet plant bones. Yep.
Is it insane to eat it sideways? That just feels right to me.
It's like a corn cob. All right, thanks guys. I wrote down all your notes. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Curious about my turn here. Was hard out at 1:30? Whose hard out was that?
that's my hard out.
Okay, I've got a small one here that I got something
right.
else we could just tinker around with. When they were spelling the word vowel, I bet A, I, and U were like, wow, wow, okay. So that's a short one.
Wait, why were they like, wow? Just because they're not in the word?
Yeah, I mean, it spells vowel, and you're leaving hello,
A vowel.
A,
Yeah, that's what I
A,
like.
first
Right
A,
here.
first letter, right here.
Yeah, I like that. Add a little bit more irritation that they're not involved, I think.
First letter, first vowel. What do you do when you get some really good grade in school? You get an A.
it's not called the alphabet. It's called the alphabet.
I like A
How
also
did these
just being a
consonants even
typical
get
alpha.
in this word? Need to like accuse somebody of nepotism or something.
V? You put V in the word? That's
It's a little bit
Bottom
like
feeder.
when a comic writes a sitcom and they have to audition to play themselves and they don't get the role. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Okay.
Okay, so that was the short one, and then I had another one where
Wait,
some
sorry.
people...
You is
yeah, go
like,
for it.
I'm fine with it. Is like, you would be.
Yes, I think it's cool. I think it's cool.
You guys, you're
You don't
good.
even know when you come before E and not. You don't know what's going on.
You don't even know what's going on.
Why don't you get your best friend Q, huh? Just because we're together often doesn't mean we're dating.
You guys are gonna get hired for a children's program after this. They're gonna love that. You're so good at grammar and so good at comedy.
I like that E is just like the total hotshot wearing sunglasses. Like, well, all right, we get it. E. He just walks in. Everyone's like, oh shit, E. Oh my god. I heard he's the most used vowel. Yeah. Of course he's the most used vowel. Shut up, man.
I could be in it. I could be not. I'm gonna stay working. I don't care.
Whatever.
You know how E feels when some words use Y instead of an E? He's like, that's cool.
That's cool, man. Just stay silent. You don't you fucking cross E. He does that to a lot of letters. When E hangs out with A, he's like, don't you fucking say a word. I don't want to peep out of you. I will beat you. EA.
It's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Peace. I'm trying to think of a word that would fit in that sentence. That would be a word. Just keep the peace, man. Exactly.
Yep. It's quite a feat.
There it is. Welcome to Rob Ryan's confusing night of you have to read this to understand.
Read a book. Read a children's book.
If there's two E's in a word next to each other, they're like, no, they were saying me. Saying me.
You came after me. That's like twins arguing who was born first.
The other one I had was about, you ever hear people saying that we eat bananas wrong?
Yes. I don't get it.
I hate it. And the only justification they have is that
Abby just found out what a
monkeys do it. And I'm like, that's the reason? Because monkeys are doing it? We did this and we're wrong about the banana because a fucking monkey who throws shit at me is right.
You know what we're also doing wrong? Computers. You ever seen a monkey use a computer? They do it way different.
Yeah. Also, flushing our poop incorrectly, apparently. But Rob already had referenced that.
I really like this premise, Rob. It's hysterical. I was just thinking, like, would it be funny if that was the metric that we used for space travel because we sent monkeys into space first to see how we're supposed to do it. You know?
That's why we send monkeys.
That's why we test things on monkeys, not because we're experimenting on them.
Whenever you see astronauts, they're always up there going like.
I think the most logic is what we've already done, which is like, or maybe you already had it in there, Rob, which is what else do monkeys do that we wouldn't want to emulate? Like, why is this the standard? Or just because it's easier for a monkey, they also move forward with two arms. They're lower to the ground. It's like they've got their reasons for opening a banana that way.
Yeah.
Although, why do we open it so hard? Go ahead, Brad.
Can I poke holes in the logic, which is that monkeys are around bananas way more than we are. Like
They're the banana
it's such
experts.
a sole focus of them. Yeah, they're banana experts, exactly.
Yeah. That's true.
So I don't know if that gives you some way to counter that with your argument.
I do like that.
Yeah, instead of sarcasm, you would be positive of like, what else can we learn from these amazing creatures?
Sometimes I'll qualify jokes. I'll go hard on one end, and then I'll pause and be like, but could be right, and then I go hard on the other end. It just doubles the amount of potential punchlines you could do. So I do like that. I'm always a fan of like, this is just me in real life, where I'm like, nobody's wrong. It's okay for one person to do something different than another person. That's not incorrect.
Especially when the other person is a monkey.
You're not going to tell me. Life hacks are condescending, in my opinion, because it's like you've lived this long and you've been doing it the wrong way. They're supposed to be helpful, but they are often delivered, at least in like a BuzzFeed article, as like 50 mistakes you've been making.
Right.
When you open a thing of milk.
I like to imagine 1,000 monkeys at 1,000 typewriters going, do you know that one human at one typewriter, given several years, can produce Shakespeare?
Yeah. They're like, we can learn a lot from each other.
So I like setting up the pattern of, what else we're doing wrong is like computers driving cars, but then breaking the pattern with something like, what else we're doing wrong? When we jerk off in trees.
Yeah.
We're doing it way wrong. If you've ever seen a monkey do it, that's the way you do it.
That's the way you do
Like
it.
you're supposed to fall.
They are the experts on it. You're right.
What if the genesis of this was a person who was around monkeys, like they're at a zoo or something, and they open a banana the normal way a human being does, and then all the monkeys just start they're just laughing their head off. They all start showing them how to do it, like pointing at them and stuff.
They rip his face off. How about
They
that?
they put him in a cage at a zoo. It's like, look at him, idiot.
It is a really annoying way to open a banana, and one that it's like high time we should have learned how to do or learn how to change. Like I don't know if this is universal here, but when I try to do it from that handle, the top gets smushed and sometimes it's the softest part, so it pokes out of the peel, why does that ruin my day? I don't know. It's such a tiny thing, but I don't go out of the house after that. So or you just like kind of popped it, and then you can spread the peel easily, but because it's got that handle, it's now that fibrous, and now you got to fight with it. So it's more like I'm mad at the banana for making me want to open it that way when monkeys crack that code. It's like a brain teaser,
That's funny.
Well, it's kind of funny to think that like the reason why we're opening it wrong is because of what you talked about. Like when you try to crack it, sometimes the top gets a little smushy, as though monkeys care about that. It's like,
I bet a real monkey just bites off the top.
Yeah, the thing at the top is all smushy. I hate that.
Yeah.
Let me just take my hand that I was just in my asshole 2 seconds ago and just like rip that part off. There we go. Now it's a good banana. All right. Anything else for Rob Ryan, everybody?
We did it. We did it in a minute.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Abby. That was awesome.
Thanks. Where can people find you?
Me.
Where can people find you?
Well, we can engage on Twitter you can follow me at Curly Comedy, or on Instagram at Curly Comedy. I have what's coming up. You can watch Hulu. There's a show I host called Up Early Tonight. It's a late night talk show by moms for moms, but I mean, non-moms can enjoy it too. It's comedy. And I am trying to think if I have any gigs coming up. I can't think of them. So you can find me at Westside Comedy Club if you're in New York City, or Eastville Comedy Club typically, but I like to play other clubs as well. So
Well, this was just proof positive why you have done so well in your career and life so far, because you're just so wonderful and great to be around and so funny. So please, everyone,
You
follow
have
us,
some of the
follow her.
best lumps in the business. I swear
man,
to
my
God.
lumps.
Your lovely
Lovely
lady
lumps.
lumps.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show today. Outro goes here.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Check back every Monday for new episodes, or you can listen wherever you enjoy podcasts. If you want to help support the show, tell your friends how much you like Is This Anything? Or get involved, like an episode, share, comment, subscribe. If you want more Is This Anything, you got to join our Patreon at patreon.com/ITAPod. We have a ton of awesome exclusive content on there, and you can join for as little as $1 a month. Check out the links in the description, and hopefully we'll see you next week.